The weapon no one believed existed, the galaxy, had many stories about human ambition, but most were told as jokes. To the great alien empires, humanity was young, bold, and noisy, but far from dangerous. They were traders, explorers, and sometimes warriors, but never the kind to shake the order of the stars. At least, that was what everyone believed. It began with whispers. A rumor passed from one space station to another, from mining colonies to capital worlds. The humans were building something on their moon base, something large, something powerful. No one knew exactly what it was, but the word Railgun started appearing in private messages and hidden broadcasts. The Vet Dominion's Captain Renner did not laugh when he heard the rumor. He had fought humans before. He knew they had a habit of doing the impossible when pushed. From his warship, the Razorfang, he sent a swarm of spy drones to the moon's orbit. They moved like shadows, slipping past human patrol routes. There, small cameras zoomed in on the surface. What they found made Renner's skin scales tighten. There it was, a weapon the size of a city tower, mounted on a reinforced platform. Cables as thick as tree trunks ran from huge energy banks to the guns. Frame, the barrel stretched toward the blackness of space. This was no defense cannon, no mining tool. This was something meant to kill from a distance no one dared imagine. Renner forwarded the images to the Galactic Council. The reply he received was filled with mockery. An illusion, the Krell delegate said. Human propaganda to make themselves look dangerous, another added. Even the Council's military strategists laughed. They had never seen a weapon of this scale actually work. The physics, they claimed, would be impossible without tearing the weapon apart. They told Renner to stop worrying, but Renner kept watching, and he was not the only one. Other empires had their own eyes on the moon. Day by day, more construction appeared. Gigantic cooling systems, magnetic rails glowing faintly with test currents. Heavy freight ships from Earth brought in mysterious cargo, sealed in black containers. Whatever the humans were building, they were pouring their resources into it. Inside the moon base, Admiral Hayes stood in the command room. Through the viewing glass, the weapon's massive barrel pointed into the void. His engineers moved like ants, checking power lines, inspecting the magnetic coils. 3 months of preparation, Hayes said quietly to his chief engineer. And still, the Council thinks. This is a bluff. The engineer gave a faint smile. That's the point, sir. News trickled out to the galaxy's outer systems. Alien merchants told tailies in spaceport bars. They say it can fire a projectile at 10 times the speed of sound, one whispered. Another shook his head. No. I heard it can break through a planet's shield in a single shot. Most laughed, but in the darker corners of the galaxy, military leaders stopped laughing. On the mining world of Ralos Prime, a holoscreen played a leaked image of the Railgun. Miners paused mid-shift, staring. The sight was strange. A human weapon so large, it looked like a fortress in itself. The image spread through networks faster than anyone could block it. By the time the Galactic Council tried to censor it, it was too late. Everyone had seen it. Everyone was talking about it. Still, the official line remained the same. The humans are bluffing, said the Arvani Empire's spokesman in a press broadcast. Even if such a gun exists, it cannot work as they claim. But inside human space, the mood was different. Factories ran day and night. Freight haulers brought ammunition the size of shuttle pods. Energy reserves were drawn from 3 different orbital power stations. Every signal from Earth's high command carried one message. Prepare for the test. Captain Renner read the intercepted human orders and felt a chill. This was no bluff. The humans were going to fire it, and when they did, the entire galaxy would be watching. On the day before the test, alien ships began to arrive in the moon's orbit. Warships, research vessels, even civilian liners filled with journalists. They came to watch the humans fail. They came for entertainment But hidden among them were those who came to measure, to record, and to fear. Inside the human command center, Admiral Hayes looked over the live feed of alien ships. "Let them watch," he said, his voice calm but firm. "We'll give them a show they'll never forget." Far across the galaxy, in the council chambers, the debate raged on. Some delegates said humans were reckless. Others claimed this was just a display for attention. But as the moon base's final countdown began, a strange feeling crept through the council. For the first time in centuries, they were not certain, and uncertainty in the galaxy's balance of power was the first sign of fear. The humans had built something real, and tomorrow they would prove it to the stars. The challenge from the stars. The news of the human railgun spread like wildfire through the galaxy. It was no longer a rumor whispered in spaceport bars. It was now a headline, a debate, and for some, a threat. Still, the loudest voices in the alien empires claimed it was nothing but human pride dressed up in steel. The Arvani Empire, proud and ancient, decided to settle the matter. They sent a public transmission across all known channels. The Arvani High Commander appeared on every holoscreen, his gold-plated armor gleaming. "Humans," he said with a slow smile, "if you claim to have built a weapon that can change the balance of the galaxy, then prove it. Fire it in front of us all. Show us your power, or admit your bluff." It was a challenge wrapped in mockery. The Galactic Council approved the test as a peaceful demonstration. They hoped it would end with the humans' embarrassment. Alien fleets began changing course toward the moon, their captains eager to see the spectacle. On the moon base, Admiral Hayes read the official notice and set it down without a word. His staff waited, their faces tense. Finally, he said, "So they want a show. We'll give them one they'll remember." The room buzzed with quiet determination. Engineers went back to work, calibrating the magnetic rails, checking the superconductors. In the power station, giant capacitors hummed like deep-throated beasts waking from a long sleep. Far above, the first alien ships entered lunar orbit. The Vec Dominion arrived with 6 warships, their black hulls bristling with weapons. The Arvani brought ceremonial cruisers lined with banners. Neutral traders came as well, turning the test into an interstellar festival. Holojournalists floated in low orbit, broadcasting live updates to billions in the Galactic Council chamber. Massive screens showed the moon base in real time. Delegates leaned forward in their seats. Some wore smiles, expecting human failure. Others kept silent, remembering stories of human wars that ended in victories no one predicted. Captain Rinner stood on the bridge of the Razor Fang, watching the railgun from a safe distance. His second officer, a young and cocky Vec, laughed. "They will burn out their coils before the first shot," he said. Rinner didn't answer, his eyes fixed on the weapon, his instincts telling him this was no bluff. Inside the human command room, a countdown appeared on the main screen. 24 hours until the test. Hayes addressed his crew, his voice low but sharp. "They think we're here to prove something to them, but we're here to remind them why they should never provoke us." The crew nodded, their hands steady over control panels, their eyes hard with focus. As the hours passed, more alien ships arrived. Some orbited in neat formations, others drifted closer, their sensors scanning the moon base. No one knew the exact target. Whispers passed through the fleets. Was it a captured asteroid, a derelict station, maybe even a hostile warship? In disguise by night cycle, the moon's horizon was lit by docking beacons and the soft glow of alien engines. From above, it looked like a ring of curious predators surrounding an animal they believed was too weak to fight back. But inside that weak animal's den, the coils of the railgun pulsed brighter, the power storage climbing higher and higher. In the last meeting before the test, Admiral Hayes looked at his chief engineer. "Can it take the full charge?" he asked. The engineer gave a small grin. "It was built for more than this, sir. Somewhere deep in the galaxy, an old human proverb was being repeated among soldiers and tacticians. Never corner something that knows how to fight. Tomorrow, the galaxy would learn why. Charging the beast, the moon was quiet. Not the natural silence of space, but the heavy stillness before a storm. Every ship in orbit had their sensors locked on the same thing, the human railgun. It sat like a sleeping monster, its black barrel, stretching toward the stars. Waiting inside the moon base, the command room was dim, lit only by screens and glowing panels. Admiral Hayes stood at the center, hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the main display. Begin charging sequence. He ordered, his voice calm but carrying weight. Somewhere deep in the station, a low hum began, like the growl of a great engine. Magnetic coils along the weapon's length flickered to life. One by one, in a ripple of light, energy flowed from the lunar reactors through armored conduits as thick as a man's chest. Meters on the engineer's console began to rise. 10%, 15%, 20%. The lights in the station dimmed slightly, and auxiliary generators kicked in. The beast was waking, and it was hungry. In orbit, alien crews noticed the change. A faint halo of light surrounded the weapon's barrel, a shimmering distortion in the thin lunar atmosphere. On the bridge of the Arvani flagship, the High Commander smirked. Impressive lights, but let's see if they can make it fire. His crew laughed, but some glanced at the readings with unease. Back in the moon base, Hayes walked to the viewing glass beyond it. The railgun looked alive, coils glowing brighter, vents releasing bursts of white steam. Technicians called out numbers. 40% charge, 60%, climbing steadily. The sound in the control room deepened, a pulsing vibration that could be felt in the bones. Far away, in the Galactic Council chamber, live feeds from multiple ships played side by side. Delegates leaned forward as they saw the weapon's power reading spike. A Zarn diplomat whispered, "That's too much energy for a simple test." No one answered, but the quiet in the room spoke for itself. On the Razorfang, Captain Rinner kept his eyes on the readings. "They're not just charging it," he said to his officers. "They're seeing how far they can push it before the first shot." His second officer frowned. "If they push too far, it will tear itself apart." Rinner's tail twitched slowly, or tear something else apart. The charge meter climbed past 70%. The railgun's structure groaned under the magnetic strain. Massive cooling towers vented streams of vapor into the moons. Thin sky, inside the weapon, the projectile, a spear of rare alloy, rested in the launch chamber. It was polished to a mirror shine, waiting to be hurled into the void. Alien spectators watched in fascination. The Krell fleet adjusted their position for a better view. Holojournalists whispered excitedly into their cameras. Viewers across the galaxy tuned in. Billions of eyes were locked on one human weapon. Inside the human command room, the chief engineer gave a thumbs up. "All systems green, sir." Hayes gave a single nod. "Hold at 85% and maintain cooling." The weapon was ready, but Hayes wasn't about to rush. The longer they took, the more the tension grew, the more the galaxy felt the weight of what was coming. In the silence, a faint vibration passed through the moon's bedrock. It wasn't dangerous yet, but it made even the veteran crew shift uneasily. This was more power than they had ever channeled into one weapon, and the railgun drank it all, like a beast tasting blood. The alien flits didn't know it, but the humans had a final surprise. The first shot wouldn't just be a test. It would be a demonstration, and the target, chosen in secret, would send a message no one could ignore. Somewhere in the dark beyond the moon, that target was already moving into place. The shot heard across the galaxy. The countdown began. A deep, slow voice echoed through the moon base speakers. 10, 9, 8. Each number seemed to make the air heavier. In the command room, every eye was on the glowing railgun display. The coils pulsed with a rhythm that felt alive, like the heartbeat of a giant. Admiral Hayes stood at the front, hands steady. "On the control rail, final systems check," he ordered. "All green," replied the chief engineer. Outside, on the lunar surface, the weapon shimmered under the glare of the sun. Steam rose from its vents. Curling into the black sky, the alien fleets had fallen silent. On the Arvani flagship, the High Commander leaned forward, his smirk gone. Even the Krell warlords, known for their mockery, stared at the railgun in silence. Holojournalists whispered to their audiences, "This is it. The humans are about to fire. 3, 2, 1. The voice called. Hayes gave the order. "Fire!" The world went white. A flash erupted from the railgun's barrel. Not a beam, but a blinding lance of light wrapped around a solid spear of metal. The sound didn't travel in space, but the vibration slammed through the moon's surface, rattling every structure. The projectile tore into the void, moving so fast that many ship sensors failed to track it. For a heartbeat, nothing happened then. The target appeared on every viewer's feed, an abandoned asteroid fortress, drifting far beyond lunar orbit. It was there for 1 second. The next, it was gone. The projectile punched through it with such force that the asteroid split cleanly. In two, a glowing line of molten rock marked the path of destruction. Chunks the size of cities spun away into the black, trailing vapor and light. Alien crews gasped. Some stepped back from their screens. On the Vec warship Razor Fang, Captain Rinner's eyes narrowed. "They did it," he whispered, not with surprise, but with the heavy tone of someone who had just witnessed history. In the Galactic Council chamber, no one spoke. Dozens of delegates sat frozen. A translator's voice, caught on a live broadcast, muttered the words that would spread across the galaxy. That was not a test. That was a warning. Back on the moon, the railgun's coils glowed faint red as the heat bled away. Engineers worked to cool the weapon. Hayes turned from the display and faced his crew. "Send the message," he said. A comms officer nodded and opened a channel to every ship watching. This was only the first shot. Hayes' voice echoed through the void. "You might want to remember that before you decide to test us again." In orbit, some alien ships began to drift back, their captains suddenly unwilling to stay too close. Others held position, not out of courage, but because they couldn't look away. The galaxy had just seen something they thought was impossible, and deep inside, they knew. Humans had changed the rules far beyond the moon. Fragments of the asteroid still tumbled through space, glowing like embers from a dead star. In the cold silence of the void, they were the only witnesses to just how much force one shot could hold. Asterisk. Reactions from the Council. The Galactic Council chamber was never silent. Even in the middle of crisis talks, there were always murmurs, debates, and translators speaking over one another. But now, after the Railgun test, the Great Hall felt like the air had been stolen away. The delegates sat frozen in their seats. Hollow screens still played the slow-motion footage of the shot, the blinding flash, the projectile's path, the asteroid's clean split. The Krell ambassador's jaw plates clicked nervously. The Zaran delegate's quills lay flat against his head. For once, no one was laughing. High Chancellor Voran of the Council finally stood, his voice heavy. "This changes everything," he said. "We must decide, is humanity a danger to be contained, or an ally too valuable to lose?" The words echoed in the chamber, and the split was immediate. On one side, the Arvani delegation slammed their fists on the desk. "They must be disarmed," their leader shouted. "No race should hold such power. It is a threat to the balance of the galaxy." On the other side, the Vec Dominion's Captain Rinner, attending as a military advisor, spoke for the first time. "Only fools challenge a predator after seeing its teeth," he said. "Better to hunt beside it than against it." Whispers turned to open arguments. Some empires proposed trade deals with Earth, offering resources in exchange for railgun defense contracts. Others suggested sanctions, blockades, even military intervention before humans could mass-produce the weapon. But deep down, everyone knew the truth. No fleet wanted to be the first to test the Railgun's aim behind the main chamber. Smaller rooms buzzed with secret talks, ambassadors from lesser powers approached the human delegation quietly. They offered mining rights, diplomatic favors, and intelligence networks. Each one spoke the same way, not as if talking to equals, but as if speaking to a rising empire, back on the moon. Admiral Hayes received encrypted reports of these council debates. He read them without emotion. "This is what we expected," he told his officers. "Fear brings hostility. Respect brings offers. We'll take both on our terms." In the outer systems, news networks replayed the firing over and over. On frontier colonies, human children pointed at the holoscreens with wide eyes. On alien worlds, soldiers studied the footage in silence. The railgun had become more than a weapon. It was now a symbol. One headline spread faster than all others, carried on millions of datapads across the stars. The day the galaxy stood still for humanity. In the council chamber, Chancellor Voron looked around at the divided delegates. He knew the truth. The galaxy had just entered a new age, and from this day forward, every law, every treaty, every battle plan would have to be written with one question in mind. What will the humans do? Asterisk behind closed doors, far from the noise of the Galactic Council. In a quiet room deep beneath the moon base, Admiral Hayes sat with only 3 other people. The air was cool, the lights dim, and the walls were lined with sound-dampening panels. This was not a meeting for public ears. A holoscreen on the table displayed encrypted reports. One showed a blurry image of a shadowy figure moving through an alien port. Another showed intercepted transmissions from the Krell military, coded, but not enough to hide their meaning. "They're already trying to copy it," Hayes said, his voice flat. "Spies have orders to steal our designs." The chief intelligence officer nodded. "We've caught 4 infiltrators in the last week alone, and that's only the ones we can prove." He tapped the screen, showing a grainy image of a Krell agent being escorted out of a human research station. "They know the alloy is the key," he added. "They can't fire that projectile without it." The alloy, forged in secret on a hidden asteroid refinery, was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. It could slice through shield harmonics and remain intact long enough to deliver its full kinetic force. To the aliens, it was a scientific puzzle. To the humans, it was a guarded treasure. While the galaxy obsessed over the Railgun test, in hidden shipyards across the solar system, engineers worked on something bigger. Blueprints showed orbital defense arrays, smaller railguns mounted on stealth platforms, and even mobile versions. To be installed on warships, the moon's railgun was never meant to be the only one. It was meant to be the first. In the shadows, another plan moved forward. Human intelligence operatives infiltrated alien data networks, planting false design flaws into leaked blueprints. Anyone trying to copy the weapon would find themselves building a railgun that overheated and tore itself apart. Hayes didn't want to stop the galaxy from trying. He wanted them to fail, loudly and publicly. Meanwhile, in the deep space sector known as the Belt of Silence, a second weapon platform was under construction, larger, hidden inside an asteroid mined hollow. It would have tripled the range of the moon's railgun and the ability to fire without revealing its location. The workers there didn't even know the full scale of what they were building. Only the core engineering team had the complete schematics, reports. Also came in from human diplomats. More alien powers were offering friendship deals. But Hayes saw the pattern. The friendlier they acted, the closer they wanted to get to human space, and the closer they got, the easier it would be to strike if the day came. In a final private message to Earth's High Command, Hayes wrote, "The galaxy thinks they've seen our full strength, but they've only seen the opening move, and far away in the cold dark. Between the stars, The second railgun stirred to life for the first time. Its coils glowed faintly in the asteroid's shadow. Unseen by the billions watching human space, the galaxy's eyes were still on the moon. They never thought to look elsewhere. Asterisk, a new era of fear and respect weeks passed, but the echoes of the railgun's shot still traveled through the galaxy. It wasn't just the soundless flash of destruction they remembered. It was the meaning behind it. For centuries, the great powers had measured strength by fleet size, shield capacity, and old alliances. Now, there was a new measure. How long would your world survive against a human railgun? In human space, trade surged, worlds that once dismissed. Earth now sent envoys with full diplomatic honors. Some came to negotiate resource exchanges, others came to offer military pacts. But all of them came with the same unspoken truth. They would rather stand beside the humans than face them across a battlefield. On frontier worlds, human settlers walked with a new confidence. Merchants found alien customers willing to pay triple for human goods. Even pirates began steering clear of shipping lanes marked with the Earth emblem. The railgun had become more than a weapon. It was now a shadow that stretched across the stars. In the Galactic Council, debates continued. Some powers pushed for limits on human weapons. Others blocked those motions, secretly hoping for human protection. But no one dared demand disarmament again. Not after seeing an asteroid fortress sliced apart in a single strike, far from politics, deep in the asteroid belt. The second railgun platform came online. Its massive coils pulsed in the dark, hidden from every scanner. Admiral Hayes stood in the command deck, gazing at the holographic map of human space. Beside him, a young officer asked, "Do you think they'll challenge us again?" Hayes gave a small smile. "If they do, they won't get a second shot." Back on Earth, news anchors still played the footage of the moon's test shot. Children watched with wide eyes. Soldiers watched with quiet pride. And in alien capitals across the galaxy, leaders watched with silent calculation. The day humans fired the railgun had changed everything. Orders, alliances, and strategies were already shifting. But the biggest change could not be seen on any map. It was in the way the galaxy spoke the word human, not as a curiosity, not as a newcomer, but as a power. And somewhere in the deep black of space, a silent railgun waited for the day it would remind them again. That was the day the galaxy stopped laughing and started listening. Asterisk.